of a shelf life study. And we're going to gauge that by looking at quality factors related to the quality of the product and the safety of the product. Now, some of the stuff we'll touch on will be a review from the previous. So the purpose of accelerated studies is that you're looking to provide an early indication on longer-term effects of non-accelerated conditions and the effects of short-term excursions outside your label storage conditions. So let's say your product is normally stored in room temperature conditions. An accelerated study would be beneficial for justifying maybe having shipping that does not allow the product to go above that room temperature condition. Also, what you see accelerated studies utilize most often for is, let's say you've got a product that you want to put out on the market within the next year, but you want to claim a 2-year shelf life on it. Well, you won't be able to finish that 2 years of room temperature data before you want to get your product out in that 1 year. So what people will do is they'll set up, say, a 6-month shelf life study or a 12-month shelf life study, and they will get as much data as they can from the accelerated conditions, and they'll plot their trends compared to what is going on with their product in anywhere from 3 to 6 months and sometimes up to a year as a way of predicting shelf life for up to 2 years, and again, sometimes longer for your more shelf-stable products. And what you want to do during that period is you want to analyze the product enough times to get sufficient data for plotting and trending of your results. We're just covered in the slides for accelerated. The other things that you can use intermediate testing for, as I mentioned, some of those products like chocolates and gummies that don't really withstand the 40 degrees Celsius and 75% relative humidity that you'll see inside accelerated conditions. And the other thing is, it's also defined to be used for an ambient condition for Zone 4 regions, which I'll go into in this slide here. So what you see here on this slide is the International Conference on Harmonization's guidelines for stability zones. Zone 2 is going to be the one that's going to be most commonly used for our clients, because those are what we deal with most often are North American, Western European clients, and that's what's going to apply for Zone 2. So that's where you see your 25 degrees Celsius and 60% relative humidity as your ambient, long-term, real-time condition. When I say words like long-term, room temperature, ambient, those are words that are often used interchangeably for shelf-stable products, so products that you can store outside of refrigerated and frozen conditions. So your very shelf-stable products, they're long-term ambient room temperature, which is used for your tropical zones. That has the 30 degrees Celsius and 65% relative humidity, and that is what you'll see there at the bottom of this page as being referred to as intermediate. So if you're a Zone 2 resident, basically, company that's marketing in Zone 2. Now, when we store our products, we're going to put them in what we have here at Eurofins are state-of-the-art environmental chambers. And what these chambers are able to do is regulate temperature and humidity at a very static rate. So we see almost no change in the day-to-day temperature and humidity. And what's going on in these pieces of equipment is these chambers have a unit behind them that you can't see in this picture, but what it's doing is it's taking water and it's warming or cooling the water to flow through a piping system within the unit, so that it's a very consistent temperature regulation, where in older units what you would see is it would be forced air and it could cause spikes in the temperature regulation. Another thing that these units will do is they create humidity through ultrasonication. So we're talking about very high rates of vibration in order to vaporize water and then release it as water vapor inside the chambers. And the reason that it's important to use chambers like this is because environment is one of our shelf life factors. So when we look at shelf life factors, we want to try to eliminate as many variables as possible. So what is going to decide that your food product is no longer at the level you want it and that it's no longer shelf stable? So you want to look at what type of primary and secondary quality factors you have. So this is something that we referred to in the previous webinar of